Wellington's Mayor Andy Foster has announced his bid for re-election in this year's mayoralty race, having touted Paul Eagle as his main opponent. Foster says he is determined to continue making the hard decisions that will set Wellington up for a fantastic future. And Andy Foster, the Mayor of Wellington, he's having another crack, joins us in the studio now. Andy, nice to see you.
Good to see you too, Sean.
Okay, so what sort of race? Look, you had a stunning victory last time. What did we say? It was 86 votes?
I think it was 62 in the end, yeah.
62, sorry, I oversold you.
But a really big swing to get to that point, of about 15,000, so it's not too bad. Most people would take that.
Excuse me. So okay, you're building from a low base. You've got to do better than that this time, obviously. And it's kind of an interesting time for Wellington. It has not been an easy time for you as mayor or for anyone in this city. The pipes are blowing up all the time. We have had an earthquake, or the downstream from an earthquake, which has seen buildings declared unsafe. Though I see day before yesterday, suddenly, it's okay for people to be in the buildings.
Oh, this is the MB guidance. Yeah. And look, that's a relief to get that kind of advice. I mean, we had the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. We've had the IRD both deciding to evacuate buildings, Meridian, and basically that guidance said, look, take a thoughtful approach to it and really consider whether there is actually a risk to life safety before you actually decide to evacuate. I mean, we don't want to have a lot of buildings empty.
Could you move back into the library then?
I think the library, we did do that double check and triple check. We peer reviewed it, and now you couldn't move back into the library because it's already been stripped out. So there's no heating, lighting, ventilation, all those sort of things are all gone. And we're setting up to start construction, the end of the year, beginning of next year.
Andy, why do you want to have another crack? Because I'll be honest, it can't have been the happiest job you've ever had. And to be honest, success and runs on the board have been hard to come by because of the nature of local bodies and the nature of a council that hasn't always been united and has more often, in fact, been divided.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I do love the job. It's a massive privilege to do the job. It's not been easy. I mean, the combination of the politics, the pipes, but they're not breaking quite as much as you say. I mean, some of our media make every one of the pipes that breaks in Wellington a front page story, and if it's somewhere else, they wouldn't worry about it. And then, of course, pandemics, protests, government reforms. There's been a lot of challenges, but we have got a lot done. I mean, I point to the last 2 weeks in particular and say, well, we got a new district plan, we've got an annual plan, we've done our sludge treatment, landfill, let's get Wellington moving, St James.
But that rubbish about, the government trotting out its plans for Wellington, no one bought that, Andy. That was just a PR move. Come on, it was an announcement of an announcement of a bloody announcement.
No, that is selecting. We are going to get a tunnel. We've got to decide exactly the location of the tunnel. We're going to get the basin reserve done. Looks great, the plans. Yeah. And we've got a mass transit corridor which we're working on. Now we get into the detail.
Okay, so you are committed to that plan as it rolled out last week or early this week?
That is the plan we're committed to. And the important thing there was the LRT, BRT, so light rail, bus, rapid transit one. That is an open question still to be worked through. Okay. And if it had just been, say, we're just doing LRT, I think that would have been a really challenging decision. But I think it's a sensible decision that says we're still keeping the options open, but that's the route that it's going.
Yeah. Last time we talked about a general malaise, not just in Wellington, but in all our major cities because of COVID and the things that have changed. I said I think to Paul Eagle when we had him on, I'll tell you what, I'd vote for any mayor who stood outside Reading Cinema in downtown Wellington and said to the Australian company who owns that building, you either fix it, recommission it and get it back working, or we'll take it off you. What do we do in our inner city in Wellington with the fact that it is run down and it doesn't look good? And Reading's a massive building right in the middle of Courtney Place, and nothing's happening.
Yeah, I can tell you there are ongoing discussions with Reading. There are a number of parties, including us, having discussions with them, so we'll see where those land. In terms of buildings generally, when you look around town, there are a lot of cranes around our city. There's a lot of that, we talked about the strengthening stuff. There's a lot of buildings which are about to come back on stream. We will get our own convention and exhibition centre back on stream, middle of next year. That's looking absolutely fantastic. That'll bring a lot of life, and of course that backs right onto Reading. So think about what what the development that might incentivise is. So, and then the town hall's coming back. So, and this, as I said, a lot
and
of
got St James up and running again.
St James looks fantastic. Everybody's saying
thanks for the invite to that. Didn't get one.
I'm sorry about that. Look, if I'd known, I'd have intervened.
All right. If you've got any tickets for the Irish test, because they are hard to find. Andy, let's look at the context of this election, and I would say, in real terms, there are two other candidates who have profile who'll be up against you. That is Paul Eagle, former councillor, Labour Party backbencher, and Tory Whanau, who is clearly the darling of the Greens, former staffer for James Shaw, associated with political lobbyists close to the government in Wellington. I think they're your three, in some ways, dissimilar but very similar candidates. Who do you regard and how do you regard those two opponents, and who do you see as your major opponent?
Well, you're kind of giving me the free shot, Reid, to sort of see what I see.
Yeah.
So Tory I've only met a couple of times. I mean, I haven't seen her at anything related to the council at all.
She's very concerned about abortion.
Yeah, well, council's never had a discussion on abortion. I don't suspect council ever will. So, it's an interesting place to come from when you've essentially had no involvement in anything related to council at all, and that means the community things either. In terms of Paul, he's been a deputy mayor, he's been a councillor before. I personally don't think he had a track record of actually delivering anything, and that's a real challenge. Then he's gone off to be the member for Rongotai. Stood up at the last Rongotai election and told people that, no, absolutely, I'm not standing for the mayoralty. You can vote for me. It's safe in the knowledge of that. Now he says he's broken that promise. And then, of course, he's standing as an independent at the same time. He's got, Labour Party billboards with his visage on them as well, and likewise his Facebook page has Labour and Independent. It's just not credible.
There is it's not credible. He's having a bob each way, and there's no way he can dress it up in any other context that he is having a bob each way.
Well, I think there's two things he should do. One of two things. He should either say, I'm standing for Labour, be honest, or I'm not standing for Labour, I'm resigning as the MP today, and I am going to be trying to be the mayor of Wellington. But you're right, he's having a bob each way.
And who are you standing for? Where are your politics?
I'm standing for Wellington, 100%, and that's, I'm not a party politically aligned.
No,
if people label me, it's probably a bit of green, bit of blue, caring for people, so it's a bit of a mix. People have seen what I do and what I care for.
Well, the other thing is that a mayor is only as good as the council they lead, and that, as I mentioned earlier, has been one of the great problems for some time in Wellington, is that there hasn't been unity of purpose on council. As you run for this mayoralty, are you going to look at the people who are standing in various wards?
Oh, yes, and I have been talking to quite a number of people.
And decide whether they align with you? And are you going to endorse council candidates to try and create, if you win, a council that can be unified and that you can lead in a specific direction?
Well, I'm absolutely talking to and working with quite a number of candidates, and I think there's some really good people out there who will have a heart for Wellington, and I think would make good, pragmatic, sensible councillors. So that's what we need. I don't like the party political. It's the blocks. It's when you have a group of people who always vote together. That is a real problem.
So would you be seeking those candidates to endorse you for a mayoral vote?
Mutual support's always a good thing.
Okay, look, I think this is the way it should work, and at local body level, I think keeping the big parties out of it is a good thing. We're not going to be able to do that because in some ways the Greens are going to endorse Tory Whanau, and I think in some ways she might also get Labour Party endorsement, which is why I think she is a
very strange arrangement with Paul there, wouldn't it?
I would agree, but I get the feeling that is what might happen. So you're saying you see Paul as your main opponent, which is why you were so heavily bagging him just a little bit earlier, because what you do with your main opponent.
Excuse me. I'm only saying it the way I saw it. Sorry.
Grab some water. We got some water. Yeah.
We both do our coughing.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not doing bagging him to bag him for that sake. I'm just saying, look, that's the way I see it, and I think a lot of Wellingtonians have seen it that way as well. It's that you can't be Labour and Independent at the same time. It's just not possible.
We really do need change in Wellington, don't we?
Oh, look, we do. If you're talking about change in personnel, I think we do. We want a council that's working much more coherently together. If you're talking about change in the physical city, that is going to happen. It's going to. I think if we're sitting here in a year's time, I think people are going, crikey, the pace of change is getting a bit hot for us. So yeah, we are about to embark on essentially 10 years. Well, we are already into essentially what is 10 years a program for 30 years investment. If you like, so it's going.
When are your billboards going up?
Oh, they'll go up when they're all ready and good to go up. And of course, they can't actually. Oh, you're talking about now. You're sort of going to pull stuff. You're going to pull stuff, aren't you? Well, I actually had no problem with them going up early. I have a problem with the content, which is the saying I'm independent when we all know he's not.
All right. Okay. So that's where that battle line is drawn. What would you say? Look, and the other thing is that turnouts are notoriously low in local body elections. I don't quite know why, because what local bodies do probably has more direct impact on people's lives than what central government does. Yeah. What do you say to people who aren't engaged and aren't interested? Why should they take interest, and even if it's not for you, vote for someone in a local body election?
Well, I think we just have to keep persuading or encouraging people to say, hey, look, these are the kind of things that the council does, the council affects. They are real and important things. I think the other thing probably, and it's useful having, the more the media encourages debate between the candidates, the better. But I think sometimes the media have sort of shied off doing that, and it's sort of said, well, we can't do that because that kind of, in some way, getting involved. But I think if we encourage the debate, people going, I can see a contest of ideas. I can see, I like that, or I like that, or I like the personality there, or whatever it might be. If we don't do that, it's pretty hard to excite people.
Would you be happy to come in here with Tori and Paul and have a good debate? One evening or one morning?
Absolutely. Great. I call them out for it.
Okay, we will tee that up. That is good. Well, Andy, nice to know you're back in the game. Thank you for coming in this morning, and as I say to all political candidates, good luck.
Thank you.
On the hustings. That is the current and hopefully next, in his mind, next Mayor of Wellington, Andy Foster.